Well, the Xi-Putin summit will be held at a low point for Russia in its war in Ukraine. Or even so, Moscow is vowing to achieve its goals in the country despite recent substantive losses. The Kremlin also says there are no prospects for negotiations between Moscow and Kyiv. Russia is grappling with the collapse of its occupation forces in the northeast as Ukraine's army sweeps further across territory seized from fleeing Russian troops. Or they left behind stockpiles of ammunition and equipment. Kyiv says more than 20 towns and villages were recaptured in just 24 hours, adding it also retook 500 square kilometres in the southern Kherson region. Russia, though, is fighting back. The Defence Ministry says its forces are conducting strikes on parts of the Kharkiv region that have been retaken by Kyiv's troops. Kharkiv's mayor says the city has lost its electricity and water supplies again due to these strikes. Russia on Sunday had targeted power stations, causing widespread blackouts in the areas around Kharkiv. Ukraine has denounced the strikes as retaliation against civilian targets for Kyiv's military advances. Julia Chapman joins us live from Kyiv. Julia, has power been restored in Ukraine?
Well, it was being gradually restored over the course of the morning, but in the last half hour, we've heard from the mayor of Kharkiv saying that due to increased shelling from Russian forces, the power and water have been knocked out once again. This comes after a number of missiles were sent to the city yesterday. According to the armed forces of Ukraine, most of them were repelled, but some did hit critical energy infrastructure, plunging the entire Kharkiv region into darkness and cutting off residents from their water supply as well. So while they try to get things back online, another strike seems to have knocked the power off once again, making things very difficult for people, not just in the Kharkiv region, but in neighboring regions as well, where they are experiencing outages or power surges as a result of the counterattacks that Russia appears to be sending Ukraine's way in response in retaliation for the territorial gains that we've been seeing Ukraine make in the Kharkiv region in recent days. Governors of regions all around northeastern Ukraine have been reporting outages over the past 24 hours. Some 11 missile strikes were fired against Ukraine last night, leading to this outage of power in so many parts of the country. So certainly energy is a very big concern for many Ukrainians heading into the winter, where power supply has already been limited by the shutdown of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine, which is under Russian control. This will certainly be making many uneasy as the temperatures start to get colder, and Russia does appear to be targeting the energy infrastructure of Ukraine.
Julia, you talk about this retaking of territory by Ukrainian forces, the routing of Russian forces. How substantial is this victory, and is it sustainable?
Those are very different questions. So the first question that you ask, certainly this does appear to be very significant indeed. Military analysts were taken by surprise with just how rapidly Ukraine has managed to retake territory from the Russians who have been holding these places for many months now. According to the armed forces of Ukraine, they have taken some 3,000 square kilometres back from Russian control in only a matter of days. So really rapid movements to the east. But yes, the question as to whether they can hold these areas is a very different one altogether. And indeed, Alexei Reznikov, the defense minister of Ukraine, has warned that if they progress too quickly, they will be left vulnerable to being surrounded by the Russians. So he is warning not to be too over-optimistic about Ukraine's prospects going forward. But he does say that this is a significant moment for their armed forces. Certainly, keeping control of the territory that has been regained will be one of the top priorities. It's all very well taking back territory, but keeping it as well is very important too. So certainly we are seeing the Ukrainians moving into vast swathes of areas where Russians had been holding this land for quite some time. They will be probably wanting to launch further attacks, further advances into the east. But for the time being, the focus is on maintaining this momentum in the Kharkiv region.
Thanks. That Julia Chapman speaking to us there from Kyiv.